This is Dan Dix here, reporting for Press for Truth with breaking news today. Member of Parliament Tony Clement last night just made the announcement that he has it on good word, apparently through a credible source, that the Trudeau government is planning a sweeping gun ban, and this is apparently going to be announced in early June. So this is incredibly concerning for gun owners. And joining me on the line right now to help me understand the implications of this is Rod Giltaca. He's the CEO and Executive Director of the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights. So Rod, thank you so much for joining us here today on Press for Truth. I want to get your comments on what Tony Clement said last night and this new announcement that he has from this credible source that he says. But before we do, just for context, I'd like to just play the clip for the audience before we provide our commentary on it. So this is just a quick clip of last night, Tony Clement, during question period, announcing that he's aware of a secret plan for the Trudeau government to unleash a sweeping gun ban. Here's the clip.
Mr. Speaker, I'm told on good authority that the Prime Minister has a secret plan to ban legal firearms. Apparently this plan is to be executed by cabinet directive with no debate in Parliament. The Prime Minister plans to announce this gun ban at the Women Deliver conference held in early June in Vancouver, where New Zealand Prime Minister Ardern will also attend. Can the Prime Minister confirm or deny this zero accountability secret plan?
Wow, shame.
Honourable Minister of Border Security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just want to assure this House that our government remains absolutely committed to taking all the measures that are effective in keeping Canadians safe. And as I believe every member of this House will agree, there is no greater responsibility for any order of government than the safety of their citizens, the protection of their kids. And we are prepared to consider whatever measures will be effective in doing so.
All right, so he says whatever measures may be effective in doing so. So it sounds to me that the former chief of police, Bill Blair, is not necessarily denying this. So I guess, Rod, maybe we can start with what was your initial reaction upon hearing this news and seeing this clip last night of Tony Clement saying he has a good source, saying that they're going to be unleashing this on the Canadian people in early June? What was your initial reaction to the sweeping gun ban announcement?
Well, I tend to take a little bit more of a pragmatic approach. I think for most people, if they don't know how politics is done in Ottawa on a federal level, and I'm sure it's the same in provincial, I just don't deal with that, or municipal, you know that it is an absolute mess. It's like the sausage factory where you just never want to go look inside and see how things are done. So it's not unusual for rumors to get started as trial balloons. What's the reaction from these people, or will they react at all? Or, the talk of gun bans really is nothing new. So for someone in my position, where people, of course, our members are saying, "Oh, what are we going to do?" And it's red alert. And my message to them, and obviously to other gun owners, is hang on a minute. We can't have a national protest and have our signs say, we're against whatever it is you're thinking about. We have to have something to be against. So, talk like that is nothing new. This is a majority government that is probably, and I'm pretty confident, but anything can happen. They're probably on their way out this election. They're throwing out some red meat for their base to see how that's going to be received. And I think one thing that might be interesting for your viewers, a little bit of political insight, would be gun control is always a losing issue for the anti-gun side, because almost for every side, because if you enact gun control, the people that want all guns taken from everyone at all costs are never happy with what you do, and gun owners are unhappy for you to do anything. So it's always a lose-lose issue, but they always go back to it. But I guess to answer your question, the long version is I'm really not too concerned until I hear exactly what it is that they want to do.
Good point. I mean, we don't know yet that this is a credible source, so there very well could be another agenda at play here. So rather than maybe speculating on what may come or what may not, maybe we could touch a little bit on some of the current problems we have, like with Bill C-71, for example. What would you say are some of the main concerns that the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights has with something like Bill C-71, which we know they're trying to really push through now?
Yeah, C-71 will be done within weeks. Will be law within weeks. So I think the best way to comment on that is actually to talk about a provision within Bill C-71 that has predicated what Tony Clement has said. So to explain in a little bit more detail. So within Bill C-71, there's the creation of a new class of firearms, and in fact, a new class of prohibited firearm. So this is a new class of prohibited firearm that you can take to and from the range. So you can still use it at the range only, but it's still a prohib, meaning that if I'm grandfather, let's say I have semi-autos, they prohibit semi-autos. They'll say, Rod, don't worry, crazy gun owner, we're not taking your guns away. You can still go to the range and shoot them. You can't shoot them anywhere else or hunt with them, but you can still use them, but there'll be no more. No one else will be able to own one other than the people that already have them. So that class was created within Bill C-71, and that's, I believe it's a 12-9 class firearm. So it's class 12 is prohibited. So we think that if, in fact, the Liberals are thinking of a sweeping gun ban, so handguns are currently restricted, and many semi-autos are currently non-restricted. If they're going to take semi-autos, which is what we think they may try to do, and take handguns and put them into this new class of prohibs, it would be Bill C-71, well, the passage of that would actually allow that and make that easy. So that's definitely a problem. The RCMP classifying firearms without any recourse from elected governments, that's a real problem. And of course, a long gun registry, or at least 2/3 of one, that's a problem as well.
And I believe Trudeau said he never would be bringing back this registry, and perhaps he didn't lie because he's just going to go ahead and get rid of guns altogether, it seems. Now, as I understand it, Canadian gun owners are some of the most vetted in the world. How vetted would you say Canadian gun owners are today?
They're more closely vetted than the police are, because what licensed gun owners in Canada are subjected to is something called continuous eligibility screening. And so the shorthand for that is we get a criminal record check every day. Now, some people call me and they're like, well, it's not really a criminal record check. And that's true. What it is we are run through CPIC. So that's the Canadian Police Information Center, I believe. I usually get one of those words wrong in that acronym, but basically CPIC is the database that you get run through. Let's say you're at a traffic stop. You get stopped by the police, and the police are like, there's something funny about this guy. I'm going to run his name through CPIC to see if he has any outstanding warrants. All your interactions with police are in there. There's all kinds of, so it's not really a criminal background check, but it's all of your current, behavior as far as interactions with law enforcement. Well, that's usually, your name gets run through there when you're suspected of committing a criminal offense. And our names as licensed gun owners get run through there every 24 hours. So police don't get that. Convicted pedophiles don't have that happen to them. There's no group in Canada that happens to. So I guess all that to say is our system right now is incredibly strict when it comes to firearms. Do bad things happen? Yeah, sometimes they do. But if you look at the real numbers when it comes to criminal activity committed by licensed gun owners, it's actually lower than the general public. So we're the safest of citizens in Canada.
Now, you and I have been warning about some of the things that are going to be coming down the road for years now. In fact, one of the first time we spoke was back in 2015 when I had a studio in Vancouver, and Justin Trudeau was just elected, selected, perhaps we can say. And at the time, we were saying some very draconian gun laws are going to be coming soon on his watch. And now we're leading up to a federal election in October, and it's maybe he's seeing the end of his reign. So is it possible that he could be doing this now to try to essentially do as much damage as he can against Canadian gun owners before he potentially leaves office in October?
I'm not sure if I describe it as damage, but what it is gun control could be their Hail Mary. They have failed on, and I'm not, our organization, we try not to be partisan, although I think, you also have to be a human being and can take in information, make a decision, and that will reflect how you look at the world. So, we're humans too, but they failed on every single file. They failed on electoral reform. They failed on everything. They even failed on gun control because I think for their base of anti-gunners, the anti-gunners in their base, I should say, they're probably really disappointed with C-71. They wanted doors kicked in. They, I don't want to say they wanted people hurt, but they wanted doors kicked in. They wanted, guns pried from the hands of Canadians. Like, that's their fantasy. And I don't say that hyperbolically. I say that because I interact with a lot of these people on a daily basis. And I think that they're coming up to an election. They're clearly not going to hold government anymore. A minority government is probably a pipe dream. And our concern is that gun control will be their Hail Mary pass, right? They're just going to say, you know what, we'll ban all guns if you reelect us. And you know what, we got nothing to lose anyway. Let's just throw that out there and see what happens. And so that is our main concern. And that's as an organization, the CCFR is going to be absolutely ready for that. And the multimedia backlash will come from that against the Liberals will be nothing that they've ever seen before. So we're not going to take it lying down.
Well, it seems in June, he apparently is going to be surrounding himself by all the right people to make this announcement too, allegedly in early June. This, according to your website, it says this event boasts a panel of celebrity feminists, Planned Parenthood spokesmen, reps from the Me Too movement, and of course the self-proclaimed feminist himself, Justin Trudeau, along with his wife Sophie, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, who recently punished her entire country for the crimes of one madman, is slated to attend. A room full of leftists and radical feminists does appear to be the perfect venue to launch a full-scale attack on Canada's most vetted, trusted citizens. So we know this is coming in early June, and it is happening here in British Columbia. Did you have any plans to try to maybe attend the event or see if you can get any kind of accreditation to get in there and speak with some of these people?
I wouldn't do that personally because a confrontation with people with a crowd like that is it's just not going to yield anything beneficial to anybody. To me, when I did look at that event this morning, and I looked down at all that stuff, and I'm like, there's a great place to say one wrong thing, and these people would, they would Berkeley you, in about 2 seconds, they'd be pepper spraying you and setting stuff on fire. But I don't know. It's the political machinations of the Liberal Party of Canada, I think, are hard for them to even figure out. It would be a great place to do that. I have a hard time seeing anybody do. I mean, they've exercised a lot of bad judgment, but I have a hard time thinking that their judgment would be that bad as to try to pull something like they did in New Zealand. For a couple of reasons would be this isn't New Zealand, for one, and for two, they don't have a factual statistical basis to justify that level of action against gun owners. So if they were to do that, they would create a lot of problems. But desperate people commit desperate acts, and you're talking about a desperate animal that wants to maintain power no matter what. That is in the most dire political circumstances. I really wouldn't put anything past them, to be honest with you.
That's a very good point. It's akin to kind of marching into the belly of the beast, and could kind of backfire. So maybe there's a better approach here for Canadian gun owners. So maybe what sort of advice would you give to the Canadian gun owners out there right now who are seeing this? They just saw the clip, they're watching this video, they're going, oh man, this may happen, it may not, but it might. What are some of the things that they can do to potentially protect themselves and their families and their guns moving forward here in Canada?
Well, when it comes specifically to this rumor or this pending action, there's really nothing you can do really at this point. I mean, if you want to write your MP and say, if you're contemplating a large-scale ban, don't even think about it, I'll make sure you never get elected. You can do all that stuff. But it's a little bit better when we know exactly what it is we're trying to stop, because then we can tailor all our messaging directly to that and all our activities. But if you're a gun owner and you're not a member of the CCFR or a reputable firearm organization, for $40 a year or whatever it is for everybody else, $40 for us, to support an organization like that, where you have people like in the CCFR that are full-time employees that are undermining these efforts by the government full-time every day, all day long, that is a pretty insignificant investment. Now, I know money doesn't grow on trees, but over at the CCFR, we have a television show, for God's sakes. We've done things for gun owners that have never been done. And it takes an organized group of people that are that it's their career to be dedicated to countering this kind of stuff. That's really important. So it's a small price to pay to make at least some kind of difference, at least to support an organization like ours. And you can do that whether there's trouble in the world of gun owners or not. But to what else people can do, I think a couple of things is, one, wait to see what's gonna happen, and then part of that will always entail sending letters and making phone calls to MPs. And though, it's very easy to send a letter and you get no response. You're like, that was a waste of time. It totally isn't. I have countless MPs telling me that when their offices get flooded with phone calls and flooded with letters, they have to address that. That's a problem for them because it's the electorate talking to them. And I do want to add one more thing because it's really important. A lot of people don't write letters to MPs or to senators or to the prime minister. That one might be a waste of time. But to MPs and senators, a lot of people don't write letters because they think they have to write some big essay. So you don't. Like literally 3 or 4 sentences. Just say, you know what, this ban on, let's say it's handguns. This ban on handguns is the most ill-conceived thing I've ever heard. There's no need to punish millions of law-abiding citizens for the actions of 2 or 3 people. I will make sure I do everything to ensure that you never see political power in my riding again. And feel free to contact me if you have questions. Even just a few handwritten or just a few sentences on a piece of paper, send it to them. It's postage free. Just write their riding address there and address it to your MP, and it gets mailed for free. That holds a lot of weight, and it's not a lot of effort. So reach out and let your political leaders know that you will not tolerate bad decision making and the victimization of you for committing no crime whatsoever.
Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I mean, you never really know what kind of seeds you're going to plant in the minds of these MPs through these letters. And when everybody else has their different approach and their different way of wording the issues that they have with this, maybe they'll strike something and one of these guys will have an epiphany. So I think that's a fantastic suggestion. Also, I think it's a great idea to support the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights because, as you said, you guys are already at the forefront of doing this. You've invested all your time and your energy into doing this. So if people want to support this cause, a great way to do that is to just go directly to you guys who are really at the tip of the spear of this fight. So I really want to encourage people to do just that. So if people are watching right now, they want to say, okay, I'm in, I got $40. Where do they go? How do they sign up with you guys?
They can, there's 2 things. So, you have people from nonprofits and they're like, go to our website and sign up. But I want you to do one thing first. I want you to go to firearmrights.ca. So firearmrights.ca. So single firearm, many rights. That's one way to remember it. And click Why Join and read the list of what the CCFR has been able to accomplish for gun owners in a short 3.5 years since our inception. In that 3.5 years, we've become the most influential, most sophisticated firearm rights organization the country has ever seen. Right up into and including having a television show where Canadians are operating handguns and black rifles. Never even been contemplated, much less accomplished. We're going to season 2 of our television show. So read. I'm a proponent of exchanging money for value. So read exactly what we do and the types of activities that we do. And then if you feel that we're worthy of your donation or your support, then you can click over to membership, buy a membership. You can support us on Patreon as well if you like. We have a little insiders group. If you donate $20 a month or more, you actually have access to myself and to Tracy Wilson directly. And you can also become a field officer or become a volunteer. And that's really important work too. So firearmrights.ca.
Fantastic. Well, I happen to know that you guys do have a proven track record, so I would encourage people to check that out for themselves. Go ahead and do your due diligence on this. And if you do feel strongly about this, certainly check them out at firearmrights.ca. So once again, Rod Giltaca, thank you so much for joining us today to help break this down for us.
It's my pleasure, Dan.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.